Hello world, it's Goju for you once again. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm going to talk about some news that just came out about Godzilla X Kong, the sequel. Yes, we already have news on the next film in the Monsterverse, the follow-up to Godzilla X Kong. And it's actually official news that just broke, I believe, yesterday. So we're going to get into all that and more. But obviously, funny enough, was just talking about this 1 or 2 weeks ago when I was talking about my ideas on my thoughts on the future of the Monsterverse. Now, this news isn't like very thorough. It's just one small bit of news, so we can't really say much. We still have to really speculate. But it is some news that we can talk about, and it's crazy how it's already come out when the film is still in some places still in theaters, and we're already getting news on the sequel, which shows that the film really was a huge box office success. So let's get into the news. So this actually comes, I believe this is from the source it came from, the Hollywood Reporter, but everybody's talking about it. And the Godzilla X Kong follow-up enlists Shang-Chi's writer, Dave Callahan. This is according to Hollywood Reporter, but I definitely would trust him, and everybody's picked up this story. So, because apparently New Empire has grossed close to 555 million worldwide, and I believe at this point it is either the second highest grossing Monsterverse film. It's actually past Godzilla 2014, and it might be the most highest grossing Monsterverse film. We'll see. That's as of yesterday. But apparently, according to this writer, Dave Callahan, who was a writer on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is a Marvel movie, if you haven't seen it, which actually it was a pretty good Marvel movie, actually. I think it kind of came out during the lockdowns and stuff, the pandemic, so I think a lot of people didn't see it in theaters, but we watched it on streaming, and actually it was a pretty good film. It was better than I expected it. So, if he helped out, his writing was responsible for that, then this is good news. But apparently he's been asked to work on the next installment of Legendary's Godzilla Kong monster movie series. Now, even according to this, Empire is still in theaters. And it also may be one of the most profitable of the 5 movies in the series, as it only cost 135 million per sources. Again, that's according to sources. I'm not really sure how true that is, that the budget of New Empire was so low. Whatever. That's according to what they say. Budgets, they can kind of claim this is part of the budget, this is not part of the budget. So I would be really curious to see the actual, breakdown of the budget, to where they came up with the idea that New Empire only cost $135 million. I have my doubts. And then here they talk about, Adam Wingard. This is also important, that they would like to see him return to the director's chair, but there is no deal with Wingard at this point. And apparently he's making an original film with A24 before he is going to take on any other projects. And apparently Dave Callahan did write the early drafts, at least, and he received story credit for 2014's Godzilla. So he has worked on the Godzilla films to some extent. Now, again, what that means oftentimes is that he wrote an early draft. He helped kind of like the story, but that doesn't mean that he kind of helped, craft the final script. So maybe he had some kind of influence on it, but we can't say that he was the main script writer in Godzilla 2014, so we don't know how different his version of the film was compared to the actual version, the final version that we saw in theaters. But in a way, it's a good thing, right? It is someone who has had experience working on the Monsterverse, knows kind of where this franchise started. At this point, apparently, it's going to be the next installment. It's another Godzilla and Kong, spin-off film, or it's a new. We're gonna have to assume it's another Godzilla and Kong team-up movie and not a spin-off film, because like I said in my kind of speculation on the future of the Monsterverse, I said that most likely we're just gonna get another Godzilla Kong crossover movie. And also, like I mentioned with Adam Wingard, he's not officially signed on yet, so it is kind of like we'll have to see what's going to happen, and especially he's making his own movie with A24, so we'll have to see what kind of happens with Adam Wingard, which is an interesting. Now that we kind of just cut to the discussion side of things, this is just my thoughts on this news. It's kind of interesting because a similar thing is happening with Godzilla minus one. That the director of minus one is also kind of working on his own movie, or well, another movie, but it's not Godzilla related. So it's yet to be seen if Toho is going to wait for him to make a sequel. I'm one of those people that I believe that you shouldn't just, if you've got something good, you shouldn't just switch directors. And especially in the middle of like this Godzilla and Kong, you could call trilogy. I don't think it's advisable to just switch directors. You've had two back-to-back movies that have been successful at the box office. Whether the critics like them or not, they've been successful at the box office. Adam Wingard, whether you like New Empire or not, has a very unique style, and he is good at directing Godzilla and Kong on screen. Again, if you have problems with New Empire, obviously, I have my issues with it as well. It's a bit much at times, but I think he does have a unique style that I'm not sure anyone else could really fill at this point. But I also understand he's working on his own movie. It's a timing, scheduling issue, and I don't know that Legendary wants to wait. Like I said in my minus one sequel thoughts video that I post. I think I posted that yesterday. But then this news came out. Actually, I had filmed that one earlier and then posted. News came out, so now I'm kind of catching up. And I think I had said that like Gareth Edwards was supposed to come back for Godzilla 2, but then he was doing Rogue One, but then decided not to come back. So we'll have to see what happens. So the question would be, if Adam Wingard doesn't come back to direct this next Godzilla Kong movie, who would it be? And I'm sure some people will start shouting on ideas. Gareth Edwards, Gareth Edwards for one. I'm nothing against Gareth Edwards, right? I have my personal issues with Godzilla 2014, but that's not what this video is about. But against Gareth Edwards, I don't think he's necessarily a bad filmmaker. But I don't think he would do a Godzilla and Kong movie. That's not, the franchise now is so far removed from the tone and style of Godzilla 2014. I don't know that I would personally rather have Gareth Edwards come in and direct an episode of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, or even work on one of the spin-off shows that's a bit more serious in tone. I think that would be great. But I think at this point, the movies themselves are very different from Godzilla 2014, so it wouldn't work. You could have, I believe, was his name, Jordan Vogt Roberts, the director of Kong Skull Island. Maybe that would work a bit better because, that movie definitely matches a bit more the style. It's still a bit serious, but it matches more the style of the latest films. Or there's Michael Dougherty from King of the Monsters. But again, it's tough with these guys because those first three films are so different from the tone of the latest films. Especially Michael Dougherty, like, I'm not sure. Especially because the way King of the Monsters did at the box office, like, Legendary may not let him be as creative with this one, and he may not want to come in with a new tone and style. So I don't know if any of the former directors would come back. Either they wouldn't want to, or I don't know if Legendary would want them to work on it. If it's not Adam Wingard, though, who would it be? And if it's not one of the old directors of the Monsterverse films, who would it be? I don't know. For me, I think Zack Snyder would be kind of cool. Just once, at least. Let me see a Zack Snyder Godzilla and Kong movie, if he wants to do it. If Adam Wingard can't do it. I think maybe someone like Paul W.S. Anderson would be probably better, than Zack. Zack is maybe too much. And I know a lot of fans don't really like him. The other thing would be maybe someone like, it's tough to think of a director that would be right, because like Adam Wingard's style is so unique and so fun. There's other directors that just wouldn't work, or they would be better on spin-offs or the TV shows. But at this point, as for the actual writer who's coming back in, I think it's cool that they brought someone in that worked on the first film. And some people have said, oh, this means the movie will be more serious and that. But again, this is not Max Borenstein, who's considered credited as the main writer on Godzilla 2014. This is one of the writers who had early drafts. It could be his early version of Godzilla was very different than the final one. And watching Shang-Chi was more of a fun action movie anyway, so I would not expect someone to give us a dark, more serious, grounded film like Godzilla 2014. And I don't think that's what Legendary wants. Legendary knows that right now what sells is big monster action, lots of fun, kind of more geared towards a younger audience, right? Legendary knows that's what works. So I don't think that they would just want to go back to Godzilla 2014 for the movies, right? Maybe for the shows they can keep it more grounded. But they know that for the movies, they got to have a big, fun movie with lots of monster action that'll get people of all ages, especially younger demographics, to go see it. So I don't expect it to be a more serious film like Godzilla 2014. I doubt it. It might have some semblances of it, maybe more of a focus on Godzilla. That would be nice. What I like to see in the future MonsterVerse films is I'd like to see more of a focus on Godzilla. Um, and I think if you're going to finish this Godzilla and Kong trilogy, you should finish it by kind of wrapping up Godzilla's story, giving Godzilla a good end, because he kind of started the MonsterVerse, so he deserves a good ending. I don't know how you end Godzilla's story in this MonsterVerse, but I think that's what they should focus on. More on Godzilla in the next film. Maybe bringing in Godzilla Jr. That might be the best thing to do at this point, because you brought in Kong Jr., Suko, whatever, so bring in Godzilla Jr. and focus more on Godzilla. That would be at least something I'd like to see. Again, we don't have any release date. We don't have any other information. This is all we have. Just one of the writers is coming in, and we don't have confirmation Adam Wingard is going to work on it. So it's pretty crazy we're getting this news already, but I'm not also surprised because the film did so successful that Legendary is, getting the ball moving on the next pieces. Of course, also there's the shows as well that are coming out. We may or may not get more news at Comic-Con, but I don't know. I don't think they would have anything prepared, right? So, if any of this, when this stuff comes out, it's going to take time, right? The shows, the spin-offs, the next Godzilla Kong movie, all of that is going to take time. I wouldn't expect any kind of marketing until next year or 2020. Trailers maybe in 2025, maybe 2026. It's going to take time for these movies and shows to get made. Maybe the shows will get done faster, but unless Legendary wants to reveal a timeline. But again, Legendary is not Marvel, right? They don't come out with this big old timeline that says, "Oh, this is going to come out now," and then. Maybe we could get a little teaser at Comic-Con saying, "Oh, these are the next spin-offs coming out." Maybe. That's a big maybe, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. If not, I would expect something more next year. But this Comic-Con, I think, is too soon because, like I said, everything's in development. It's a bit too soon for them to start marketing everything already. But anyway, some cool news, right? I'm not surprised. I don't think anyone's surprised that there's going to be another film. Maybe I'm just more surprised at how early we're already getting news on it. But then again, maybe not, because the film has done very well at the box office. More than anything, I'm just curious to see what happens with the director, because I think that's going to be the big thing about this film. And again, maybe some people would be happy that Adam Wingard doesn't direct it, because some people are not a huge fan of the tone of these films and would prefer something more akin to the first Godzilla film in the Monsterverse. But I personally think Adam Wingard's already done 2 of these. He should finish it. I don't want the last film to have a completely different tone than the previous films. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this. Just a quick kind of video. Well, kind of quick-ish. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of this news. Are you looking forward to this film? What do you kind of want to see in this next Godzilla, Kong, or Monsterverse film? And yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!